Even like I use this analogy, but the Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci. I mean, if somebody showed you that painting and said some no-name guy did this, would you think it was good art, or would you just be like,
well,
I don't think it's a great painting, but I think because it's Da Vinci, it's great.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yep.
There you go.
Can you hear us?
How's it going, guys? Yeah, got you loud and clear. I've been desperately trying to tether my my iMac to my mobile phone, which I've done every day successfully for the last few weeks, and all of a sudden it's decided it's not going to let me tether. So
Unbelievable. That's a bunch of bullshit, if you ask me.
Dude, I forgot you cut your hair until this moment. I don't know why.
yeah, I've cut my hair, but I still have quite long hair on top.
Oh yeah,
there-
yeah, good.
Yeah.
But, because I can't get a haircut anywhere, and I've got a bit of sort of Jack Nicholson going on at the side.
Get a little bit of the Shining effect going on.
So we can't get a haircut anywhere, unfortunately.
Grab a pair of scissors, man, and get a mirror.
Yeah, I know. And the same thing I used to trim my beard, maybe just straight up and round the side.
Yeah, this quarantine, I used to shave every day. Now I just, this quarantine that's really screwing me up.
I remember that beard.
How could you not? How could you not? So what's up, man? That's actually a pretty sweet scally cap. I'm a fan of scally caps. I own a couple myself. I buy them from Boston Scally Company. I don't know where you get it, but that looks like a corduroy scally cap.
This is a black denim one. I only came across it yesterday. Got it. It was my birthday yesterday, guys. I got it.
Oh, happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
And actually, it is, believe it or not, a Stetson.
Oh, Stetson. All right.
Oh,
I'm
Stetson. Okay.
totally gonna steal your style, and I'm buying my own, and we're gonna have the same scally cap.
But what I'm not sure about is it actually a Stetson, or has some like dodgy third-rate company bought the rights to the name?
Think it's some sketchy business practices going on there with some copyright infringement.
Check this one out.
Ooh, here we go.
Second one as well.
Ooh, that's cool. It's got a little more pronounced bill or whatever it's called. The bill.
That's the brown antique leather one.
Fantastic.
And that's also a Stetson. But again, I'm dubious about the origins of the Stetson name and how it's being used.
I'll do some research. I'll see if there's any Stetson fraud going on in the world.
You know, the two of you are lucky that you can pull off that kind of hat. I unfortunately cannot pull it off.
Well, I never would have wore a hat like this with the long hair ever. That's
the problem. It's the long hair. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's only since I've had the haircut that I've started wearing caps. So yeah, so I'm really cheesed off that I can't have you on my big screen, but it's just not having it at all. So I do apologise.
Unbelievable. No, that's okay, man.
Yeah, I'm using my phone. I just use my phone for these because I'm lazy.
Yeah. I think I'll be doing the same. So let me just set you up a bit more comfortably with the phone. So yeah, how's it going, guys? All right.
Fantastic.
What's your shirt say? Bullshit.
With a martini glass.
So there's a clothing company in Berlin called the Dudes. A bit like there's a band called the Dudes, actually. I think they're American, but there's a clothing company in Berlin, and they just do the best T-shirts ever. And like one of them on the back that I've got, it just says "Fucking hell, I could get used to this." And I got on a flight with it on. And the air hostess asked me to cover it up. She said I was offending the other passengers, and I was that shocked. I was that shocked that like she'd asked me to do it. I froze for a little minute, and I thought, this isn't right. Before I'd managed to get my thoughts together as to how I was going to retaliate, loads of passengers all around me had all said, she can't tell you what to do, she can't tell you what to wear. So they kind of did the job for me, to be honest.
It's turning into one of those videos where like the guy is like, he's filming, he's like, I have a right to do this. And the guy's in his face is like, I understand that. And it's like super, like, he's like, you can't tell me I have a Second Amendment. Not a Second Amendment, First Amendment. This isn't America, man. Same thing, whatever. But those guys, they always like, and here in America, they always have these like police videos where they get pulled over and the caption is like, driver schools police officer on Constitution. He's like, I know my rights. You can't do this. You are an officer of the law. It's so tense watching those. It's like so like gives me anxiety watching that.
Yeah,
I feel like there's a lot of videos about cops that are corrupt. There's like I feel like a large percentage of cops are corrupt.
Well, I think there definitely is those. I still think there's good cops out there, but
for sure.
Like it's up to citizens to keep track of that and make sure they're all doing their duty as police officers to do the right thing.
I'm sure the chiefs aren't corrupt as well. So
we've got a lot of the British police doing the TikTok videos, and I find it really hard to watch somebody that's supposedly in a position of authority, like doing these daft or whatever it is they do. It's like, I just can't get my head around it. But then again, I shouldn't really be watching TikTok, should I? So that's that. Let's move.
I refuse because everybody all of a sudden was like, "You gotta get on TikTok. You gotta get on TikTok." I'm like, "Nope, not doing it. Nope." I won't even go to the link. I won't even check the website out. No, not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. You can take a TikTok and take a walk.
Unfortunately.
How's the COVID-19 stuff over there? Is it loosening up a bit, or is it still kind of strict?
It's kind of strict at the minute. It's supposedly loosening up, but the only thing we're allowed to do this week, as opposed to last week, we're allowed to go a little bit further for a walk. So, basically, like I feel basically that there's just nobody in charge in this country. It's just ridiculous. It's just like somebody needs to. I mean, I know like that Trump's probably a whole conversation of a whole podcast that we're not going to get into. But I long for somebody, even if the decision making's wrong, to just be in charge, because what we've got here is just wishy-washy. Don't upset anybody, and you can't say, no, hang on a minute, mate, you're in charge, make the decisions, for God's sake.
Right. It seems like everybody around the world, that everybody's kind of like, I don't know, we're all moving, like lessening restrictions at the same time. I feel like everyone's kind of moving,
my nephew's in Australia, and he's just sent me the what they've all been issued with on the internet. I don't know why I'm doing that, but anyway.
That's the internet.
And he's got like a clear, concise plan of everything that's going to be happening over the next few weeks. So week 1, blah, 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 blah. Week 2, blah, 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 all set out beautifully on some really clear, easy to read paper. And you just think, bloody hell, the Aussies have got it right. Do you know what I mean?
Does it snow in Australia?
No.
Yeah, it rains spiders, right?
Yeah, right. It doesn't snow, but it rains spiders. That's terrible.
I'd probably die of a panic attack if I lived in Australia.
It's spidering out again.
Spider.
In a couple inches of spiders tonight.
But
I'm not a big lover of spiders. Not a big lover.
Oh man. We once in a while have like a centipede in here, and we freak out. I'm such a baby.
I like centipedes.
But so Bravado Cartel.
Yeah.
How long? When did you guys? When was it first? Like you guys started as a band? Was it a couple years ago? Was it longer? When did you guys start specifically?
So we actually started in about 2005, 2004.
Wow. Okay.
Under another name, under the Red Star name. I don't know if you've heard that name being thrown about.
I was going to ask you about that. Okay.
Yeah. So we started out as Red Star. And there's 3 of us still that are the original guys. Obviously, you've had Jack on. I think you've had Jack on the show, haven't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
A couple episodes.
So Jack wasn't an original member, but he did crack a good 5 years out with us. But yeah, so that's when it all started, really, 2004, 2005-ish. And then when we were going to come to America, because the story of how we came to America is quite good. But I didn't really want to come across being called Red Star, because I don't know, over here we we all think that it's quite a big thing, the communist thing and the sort of anti-Russia thing in America. So we were like, we better change our name.
Yeah,
I think it's a badass name.
I don't know if there's any grounds, any truth in that, but you know what it's like when you think about.
Yeah, I mean, it may cross some people's minds, but I don't think it'd be a big deal, really. Now in 2020 or whatever. But maybe for the best to change it, just for a long term. Whatever, you know. But have you had? So you think the reception was better over there with the name, or have you kind of tested it over here a little bit?
Well, we were so well established as Red Star, and I wouldn't say by any means we were famous or anything, but we had such a big following and kind of like a cult name in our hometown that people were not happy that we changed our name at all.
Oh boy,
it was it's all right now, but at the time, I think it was about 2013, 2014 ish. Yeah, it didn't go down well at all. People didn't like it, so I thought, I made a mistake.
You think you might have lost some loyal fans, or do you think they stuck by you?
Yeah. Do you know what? I mean, I don't know how long you guys have been going, but when you've been going for the best part of like 15 years plus,
wow,
people just naturally kind of fall in and fall out, because people that come, they have families and they disappear, and then other people come.
That's true.
And I often think if all the people that used to come back in the day had turned up, I'd be like, bloody hell, I forgot you used to come to gigs all the time.
Yeah, life situations, they'll swing it in and out or whatever, you know. Some people, like you said, pop in, pop out. So yeah, there's that natural.
That's funny, because I think as far as our name goes, because we're only 4 years old really as a band. But I think we were called Cosmic Vulture, like singular. Right. And then when we got a drummer that was a steady drummer, we were like, let's just make a plural. Let's be the Cosmic Vultures.
Because everybody kept mistaking the name. They kept writing the Cosmic Vultures on the blackboard everywhere we played. It was always on the bill as the Cosmic Vultures.
Actually, our first show ever was Battle of the Bands. And the guy came up on stage and he's like, here come the Cosmic Villains. And I was like, how did you get that wrong, man? I thought that was a pretty badass name, but I was like, it's too late now.
Cosmic Villains. Yeah, we could always
Cosmic Villains.
Change villains.
But yeah,
we used to get Red Stripe. Somebody once came on, you know, Red Stripe, the Jamaican beer.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, I like that.
Somebody once introduced us on stages, and here, welcome, please, to the stage, Red Stripe.
Like, everyone a fan of the beer is like, yes.
He's like, have you seen the movie That Thing You Do, William?
No, I've not seen that one.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's about a fictional band. Tom Hanks is in. He's the manager, and it's such a good movie. But
what's it called?
It's called That Thing You Do. It came out in like the late 90s. It was such
the band in the movies, they're called the Wonders, and they go by like the number 1. It's like ONEDERS, and so they're always called the Oneaters on stage. And then Tom Hanks comes along, and he's like he's kind of based off of like George Martin of the Beatles. So he comes along and he's like, you guys are just the Wonders now, with a W, no ifs, ands, or buts. It's a funny story, because they only have one hit, so they have the one hit wonders. And that's kind of how, like, you know, the name started, but it's fictional. So
that is a really cool. You need to send me that when we come off. You need to send me that. It sounds like a film I need to watch.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite music movies of all time.
It's so. Oh my God, yeah. It's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, one of my favorite band names is My Little Boy. He was only about 4 or 5 at the time, and kind of like, I don't know if either of you guys have got kids yet, but they kind of look, not yet, but they kind of want to emulate what you're doing. So he's obsessed with being in a band. And we're just driving along one day, and he just looked at me and he went, Daddy. I went, yes, mate. He went, I want to be in a band. I says, all right, yeah, that'll happen. And he said, do you know what my band's called? And I just thought he was going to make some really crap name up. And he went, Superhero and the Blast-Offs. Absolutely. I nearly fell out of the van. This is a 4-year-old coming up with a name like that. I'm like,
Superhero and the Blast-Offs. That's pretty cool.
I would go to that show. I'd see them.
How cool is that?
He got to make him. He's got to make that band now. I want to see them on Spotify.
Yeah. I already claimed the Facebook name. As soon as he said it, I got on Facebook and claimed the URL or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
there you go.
I've got
so
that
it's
one.
set in place. So when he grows up a little bit or whatever, he'll pick up.
Absolutely.
Does he play anything? Is he interested in guitar or anything like that?
he's interested in everything, but he can't actually play any of it yet. He's not quite got the attention span to sit down and properly learn it. But I think he's probably going to be a drummer out of all of them, because he can play a bit of "We Will Rock You" by Queen. So
yeah, sweet. Yeah, kids are like perfect drummers anyway. You get to hit stuff, that's just perfect for a little kid.
Pots and pans.
Exactly.
Yeah, perfect starter instruments. Yeah, that'd be cool. We'll see where he's at in a couple of years. Maybe he'll be rocking out on stage somewhere.
Absolutely.
Hope so.
Oh yeah.
So I listened to your album, "Violence Has No Place at the Table of Democracy." And I've listened to it. I listened to it when I first met you guys. Listened to it again a couple of times, and then today I listened to it again just to get a refresher on it. And I was trying to pick my favorite 3 songs of the album, and I got it down to 3. It was difficult, but I did. My top 3 are "Kill the Messenger," which might be my favorite. I just love the chorus. I sing it even when I'm not listening to it. It'll get stuck in my head when I'm in the shower. I love "Constellation Blues."
Oh, I wondered who's been listening to that, because I get analytics, and there was a Boston play in there.
Yeah, that was me. That was me for sure. And then I love "The Edge of Time" is really, really cool.
Yeah.
So the album as a whole is phenomenal, but those 3 specifically, I just pinned them down as my first, second, and third. No, in no specific order, but I think "Kill the Messenger" is my all-time favorite, but those 2 come close.
Is this on vinyl by any chance? Do you guys really vinyl releases?
No, I didn't do any vinyl. I'd love to do some vinyl, but it's just it's so expensive.
I know, we're in the same boat.
Yeah.
It's so freaking, unless you're like buying huge volumes, it's like not worth it to make a profit.
And there are companies that will do you a one-off vinyl, so you can take your album and they can put it on. You put it on a vinyl, so somebody can get you like your missus can get you a birthday present of your thing. So somebody actually bought me this voucher to get the album put onto vinyl, and when it came to it, the vinyls weren't big enough to put the whole album on. So I was really gutted, because somebody bought me the voucher to do it.
Oh, it has to be a double disc, right?
Yeah. So
I did it too. Yeah, it's unfortunately it's like each side realistically can only fit like 10 to 15 minutes of songs.
Yeah.
Because it has to do with the spacing in between the grooves. If they're too close together like that, the sound fidelity suffers. So it's crazy. So I don't know if there's anywhere else to do it, but yeah, it's like if you have a big album, it's going to be a double vinyl.
Yeah, for sure. We were thinking. I told Steve recently. I was like, we're only alive once. I don't know how long this band's going to go for. I don't even know if I'll ever have a chance to do it again. I was like, for the next album that we release, which is going to be probably during the summer, I said, let's just get vinyl. I don't care how much money it costs. Let's just do it. I was like, let's get like 15 copies. We'll keep 4 for ourselves, and then we'll have 11. I mean, they're not going to sell out anytime soon. And I was like, maybe we'll just charge $40. Maybe somebody will come along and be like, I'm a big vinyl guy. I'll buy it. But I don't know. I just think at least one time every band should have vinyl of their record.
It's so cool. Do you are you into vinyl at all? Or do you
Oh, I love vinyl. Yeah, I've got a vinyl player. I've got hundreds of vinyl. Well, I'm saying hundreds. I try and just get the vinyls that I like. I wouldn't want to just collect them for the sake of having them. So I've got quite an eclectic collection. But yeah, I'm definitely a vinyl person. I've got lots of.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Sorry. I was gonna say everyone we talk to on here. It's like every time I ask that question, everybody's into vinyl. So it's like such a cool. It's definitely resurgence has definitely come back with the past like decade with vinyl collection. And I think last year vinyl sales outpaced CD sales for the first time.
Yeah.
In a long time. So that's such cool. And I'm such a huge fan of vinyl. I do what you do. Like I don't. Once in a great while, maybe I'll speculate and I'll buy something that I think will be of value. But 99% of the time, I just buy vinyl that I like, and I have no real plans to sell it ever. It's just I like to have a physical, tangible copy, and knowing that have that like high fidelity sound in a moment's notice. I could just pop it on right now and listen to it. So that's why I think it's so cool.
My favorite thing to do on a Sunday morning, because Sundays are like, I don't do a lot of stuff on a Sunday. I just love to get up on a Sunday morning and just bang a vinyl on and just sit in the front room and just listen to a vinyl and sometimes I put a bit of Queen on, and my little lad goes absolutely mental to it. He loves it, so I'm trying to get him into it as well. But
Nice.
yeah, it's interesting, Derek, that that you like that Constellation Blues, because that was a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine, putting that on the album. The rest of the lads are not really fans of it, and I don't know. It was like I wrote that song just for me. I mean, because usually we write songs together, but I literally wrote that whole song. That everything. Obviously, I didn't play everything, but all the writing side of it, that song is completely me.
Wow.
And it's not particularly a song that we've ever played live, maybe once or twice in all the years. But I just love it, and I've always had a bit of a thing for space as well. So I wanted to write sometimes I set myself little challenges. So I'll say, right, I'll write a list of subjects that I want to write a song about, and space has always been one of them. And I just, in fact, the keyboard player that used to be in the band always takes the piss out of me for the one line in there, which is kamikaze chimps through visored vision. But I don't know, maybe I'm being a bit big-headed, but I thought, what a fucking great line, kamikaze chimps through visored vision. Because when the Russians used to send the chimps up in the early days, they obviously put the visors on them, and the chimps weren't coming home; they were going to the deaths. But no,
progress of humanity.
I don't feel like I've got the recognition I deserve from the rest of the band for those lyrics, to be honest.
Have you seen the movie Fight Club?
Yeah, Brad Pitt.
He talks specifically about that. He's like talking about the greater good. He's like, we're all just monkeys going into space for the greater the good. He slaps him on the head. He's like, and I forget exactly the line, but he made the analogy of we're all just kind of like space monkeys, you know. We have to do our part.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a crazy movie, obviously, but he kind of made that analogy, comparing that the Russian monkey they sent into space, because knowing that the thing was going to his death, you know, but for the greater good. So it's like that.
If I was in your band, I'd probably be the only one who was like, Constellation Blues is the best. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I go through that a lot too when I bring a lot of songs to the band that I write on acoustic guitar. A lot of it's super melodic and like kind of like folky, and we're kind of like funky, so it doesn't always work. If I bring a song, they're gonna be like, and I'm like, how do you not like this song? It's like my baby, and I love it, and they don't like it, and it's kind of cool that at least you got to put it on the album, you know. At least they were, you know. But
it was a little bit self-indulgent. It was that song's for me. I wanted to write a space theme song. I've got a little playlist on Apple of space songs, and I've whacked it in there in the middle. So it usually comes on just after Space Odyssey or something like that.
I was gonna say, Space Odysseys probably on there.
There's are you guys familiar with the Stone Roses, the British Manchester band?
Yep.
You guys are familiar with those, because they never really made it in America.
I'd have to check them out. I don't know if I'm too familiar, but Derek might be more familiar.
Yeah, I've heard their stuff. I don't know anything by name, but I'm pretty sure my wife and I have listened to them a couple of times.
So they're like a massive Manchester cult English band from the late 80s, early 90s. And the singer's a guy called Ian Brown, and he went solo when the band split. And he's got a real... It was one of the reasons I wanted to be in a band, actually, watching him. But he's got a real spacey themed song and a really good video that goes with it. So that was kind of a big influence on that song for me as well.
Musically spacey or lyrically spacey?
Both. Yeah, both. Okay.
So more ambient sounding, introspective kind of.
Yeah, it's called My Star by Ian Brown. If you're a fan of that track,
I'll check that out.
Yeah, My Star, Ian Brown. It's a very English kind of rock and roll. So it's not rock and roll. It's in a very some English bands don't really translate very well to America, and I don't think the Roses were a band that did that. But they're massive here. They're just like total cult status. So yeah, check it out.
You classify.
I once made a list of all my favorite English bands and all my favorite American bands, and the English bands absolutely wiped the floor with American bands. So that's my opinion. I've always been I grew up, and the first thing I've ever heard was the White Album by the Beatles. My dad played it in the living room. He was my dad's a painter and a bass player, but he was painting in the kitchen. And I heard these songs, and I was like, what is this? I didn't understand it, but it made me feel good. And then after the Beatles, it was the Stones, it was Zeppelin, it was Pink Floyd. I just couldn't get enough of it. And then when I heard American bands, I could tell the difference. It seemed like it was different to me. But I've always been a bigger fan of English bands. That's just the way it is, I guess.
I'll tell you an American band that could be English, but couldn't be English. I know that sounds ridiculous, but Creedence Clearwater Revival, so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they could be English, but they couldn't be English at the same time. I don't know what I mean by that. Yeah. But
what like? Oh, a little dark. I was gonna say, what do you think makes, like you mentioned before, it has that like British rock feel? What do you think? Like, what is that sound? Is it the type of distortion? Is it the kind of the way the lyrics are presented? Because when you say British rock, I immediately think of Vox amps and like, you know, that kind of overdrive on guitar. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Bands, I was like, oh, I didn't even realize they were English until I looked it up. People like Eric Clapton. I you know, he sings like he's an American, you know, for me anyway. And then when you hear him talk, you're like, oh, even Robert Plant. Like I mean, I knew Zeppelin was British, but when he talks, he's very, you know, obviously English. And when he's singing, he sounds like he could easily be American. My problem was my whole life, my dad would say, Derek, you're still sounding like John Lennon. Stop trying to sound like John Lennon. I couldn't help myself because I grew up on that. So finally I can find my own voice. But even to this day, I sent him a song 2 weeks ago. I said, what do you think of this? He goes, you sound like John Lennon again. And I'm like, I can't help it. I like the way he, you know, I like his accent. I can't help myself.
Yeah. The way that he sings. Yeah. I think everybody, even myself, when you start out, I think you start out aspiring to be somebody and you want to be like your hero in any walk of life. But if you're a footballer, for example, who wants to be Pele, it's not quite as apparent as if you're a singer that wants to be John Lennon. But I think everybody starts out initially wanting to be somebody, and then, like you say, finding their own feet. I mean, I personally struggled for years trying to get away. Well, not trying to be Oasis, I guess. It was a big thing in this country. If you were in a band and everybody wanted to be Oasis and stuff, and it took me quite a long time to find my own self and my own direction and my own style. And I can see it now, but at the time I just thought I was the coolest thing on the planet, you know.
Yeah, even here, I mean, there was a period of time when maybe when I was in high school, but everybody who could play guitar would pull the guitar out and play Wonderwall, and it was like, does anybody else know any other song besides Wonderwall? For God's sake, I'll even take Champagne Supernova. Just don't play Wonderwall.
Right.
It always makes me laugh in this country because the Gallagher brothers are absolutely hated. So, and if you mention the Gallagher brothers anywhere, oh man, he's a right knobhead, I'm going to kill him, blah, 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 and all this. But it always makes me chuckle because at the same time, the Gallaghers basically were drinking, doing a few drugs and making idiots of themselves, but they weren't harming anybody. They weren't doing any harm. They weren't advocating heroin. And at the same time, in the charts, you had 50 Cent, who was telling everyone he'd been shot 9 times. He spent most of his life pimping out prostitutes and lived a gangster lifestyle. Nobody said a word.
Right.
Nobody said anything bad about him. And I was like, well, all Liam's done really is swear at a reporter, and he's the worst thing on the planet.
Well, the worst, maybe the worst thing. Do you think that perception is mainly in England, or do you think it's worldwide? People perceive him that way? Because I was gonna say maybe it's just a cultural thing. Because over here in America, if we were looking at certain types of rap, it's expected that they'll talk about messed up things in whatever they're rapping about, you know. So we kind of come to expect that. Whereas maybe the culture over there doesn't really. Maybe there's just a difference in expectations for artists, and some are under more of a microscope.
One thing I never really liked about that, the culture of that, was that a young kid could, you know, aspire to be a rap star so they could get the cars and the girls and the money. And for me, it was always, when I grew up, I wanted to make art. You know, I wanted to make something real, and I wanted to write good lyrics, and I wanted to be, I mean, ultimately, I mean, I'm sure everyone feels like this, but I wanted to be respected as a writer. And even to this day, I've had trouble figuring out the difference between trying to be happy with just what I'm doing or try to be happy climbing this, you know, the quote unquote music ladder. And I finally had an epiphany where I was like, I need to break the ladder in my brain. It doesn't matter. It should just matter what I feel about it. But it's been a struggle my whole life, and I'm sure you guys too. I mean, have that, like, you know, what if Bravado Cartel got to this stage? Then what? Can we get to that stage? Do we want to get to that stage? I've had conversations with Steve about, like, if we ever quote unquote made it, would I be able to tour? I don't think I'd be able to. I think I'd be burnt out after a week, because after one show, I need to go rest for 4 days. And you're out there doing headstands and stuff, so.
multiple headstands.
Yeah, well, famously, again, just to go back to the Arctic Monkeys, one of the guys that was in the Arctic Monkeys, I think it might have been the bass player or something, when they first made it, he literally did about 3 weeks at it and went, I can't do this. I cannot be in the biggest band on the planet. I'm leaving. And I was like, what? Can I learn bass in a week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been so driven to achieve something with my music, that when you've been doing it so long, and you maybe haven't had that big break that you've hoped for, it does take a little while to get over that and just think, you know, get your head squared up, like you say, and think, right, I'm making art here. I'm no different to an artist painting a picture and then just putting it out there. But we've always, me and the guitarist, we've written most of the tracks that that people like. We've written those together, and we've always had the mindset that we're going to write what we want to write. We're not going to try and please anybody. We're just going to put out what we put out, and that's kind of been our ethos. And you know what? Maybe we should have sold out and written some poppy songs or whatever, but I just want to sing and write what I want to sing and write about, and that's it.
Right.
And put pieces, yeah, like you say, put pieces of art out. I've got a bit of a funny attitude towards it all, me. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what you two think about this, but there's a lot of shows in this country on the telly, and it'll be, let's just take a really easy generic example. So it'll be like the Beatles, and then cutting in and amongst the song, there'll be some sort of D-lister celebrity commenting on it and saying why John Lennon wrote about that, or why Paul McCartney said that in that part of it. I mean, it could be any band, this. I'm just using the Beatles as an example. And I always sit there and tell me if you think I'm wrong, okay? And I won't be offended at all. But I always sit there and I just think, John Lennon and Paul McCartney sat there and all this stuff just came out of them. It wasn't like a chemist trying to work out a formula. They just wrote what they wrote, and they didn't really put too much thought into it. Most of the time they were stoned. And it really gets on my wick when these analysts sit there analysing everything that comes out of them like it's some sort of biblical text. And I just
right.
They just sat there with their mates and wrote some music.
Yep. I think it's 100% accurate. I think even before Lennon died, I think he was on Playboy. He did a Playboy 1980 interview. And the guy was just yelling out songs to Lennon. He said, what about this one? He'd say, it was crap. Okay, how about this one? Shit. And I was like, these are some of my favorite songs of all time. And he just regards his songs as whatever I was in the mood for when I wrote it. It doesn't mean anything. It never meant anything. Or like, I Am the Walrus. All those lyrics. He's like, it's just, he's like, I'm a wordsmith. I like to play with words. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I have a song called Seven Witches that we did. And I got a lot of weird shit for that one. People were like, it's just too dark. And I'm like, I'm just having fun. It doesn't mean anything. It never. I like to write stories and stuff. And, I don't know. I agree with you 100%, I guess, where I'm going.
I think,
yeah.
I was going to say there's a phenomenon with culture, whether it be music or maybe someone of, I don't know, some of whatever influence. They'll take what the original material was and then deify it, and they'll just they'll put it on this crazy pedestal and like you said, put it under a microscope and like as if it was biblical text. But I think you see that in every profession, whatever profession that's inspirational to people, any kind of art form like that. Artist will release it. It's cool to him or her or whatever, and then like, oh, that's cool. I'll release it, and then people will see different meanings, and that's to be expected with art because everybody has a different perspective, and that's what art is. It's like it's not necessarily, even if John Lennon said that that song was garbage or whatever, and he thought it was just trash, rubbish, whatever. it's gold to somebody else. It's you know, it's like it's very meaningful to this person over here. So it's even if the artist doesn't agree, maybe the viewer does.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
So that's the cool thing about art. It's not binary. It's not ones and zeros. It's
I mean,
crazy.
Didn't Bowie used to just tear magazines up and then like sprinkle the words into different piles, and that'd be so,
which I think is kind of funny, because sometimes in art you can have that, like the art, I'll just make this whatever, and then people will be like, that is brilliant. I'm like, what are you talking? That took me 20 minutes to do. It's like, I just, like you said, I ripped up some magazines, taped them to a wall. So I think there is a little some over exuberance in the art community with fans of art. Maybe they'll just see things that aren't necessarily there. But I mean, maybe.
But then again, having said that, you know, don't take away from the fact that doing what we do, and you guys as well, and the Cooped Out guys and everybody doing what you do, is when the package comes together, you know, that in itself is a talent. Don't get me wrong, I'm not undermining that.
Of course.
It's just like you say, I think sometimes they get so swept up in the biblical text side of it, and it's like, nah, some guys just sat down with a spliff and wrote a tune, and it's bloody amazing. But you know,
this is like John. There was a documentary about John Lennon, and there was a fan who listens to something John Lennon wrote on his Soul album, and the guy just walked on his property, and he thought he was talking about him, he was singing about him or whatever. And John Lennon, he's like, I don't even know you. How could that be possible? It's like, I'm just singing about life, love, her, whatever. That's it.
No, I think that was during the Beatles, because what John says to the guy was, he's like, and plus it's a Paul song. It's not even mine.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, and John's like, would you like to come in? Are you hungry? He's like, yeah.
Yeah, he took a and fed him. Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
Funny.
So you said earlier about Bowie like sprinkling thing, you know what I mean, like trying to find something that wasn't there. I was thinking about that painter Jackson Pollock, and how like, you know, he was kind of a poor painter, and no one really followed his work until he accidentally dripped paint on a canvas, and was like, holy shit, what did I just do? I think a lot of artists stumble into things that make them popular. You know, and then people try to analyze it, and honestly, the answer they don't want to give is, hey, I got lucky. I got discovered. I wasn't supposed to. I had 2 hits, and that was it. You know, as opposed to the Beatles, who are just hit makers for their whole entire lives. It's a huge difference. And I think my problem's always been that, you know, I just stop trying to be the Beatles, because it's too high. And I know people are going to be like, no, shoot for the sky. Sometimes I feel like some things are just too high to shoot for.
Do you think that if the Beatles were around right now, just fresh on the scene, do you think that they would reach the dizzy heights that they got to, with all the different sides to it, the cultural aspects of it, the fact that the marketplace is absolutely swamped? Do you think I mean, the songs would still be quality, there's no doubt about that, but would all the stars align and allow them to get into that position?
I don't think they would have reached the heights that they did in the 60s. I think a big part of it was the decade. I think it was but they even made a movie about it. What's that the Indian guy? What's that movie? Yesterday. It's called Yesterday. Whatever. Nobody ever heard of the Beatles. Only he knows the Beatles, and he ends up writing all of their songs and becomes this huge star. So I don't know. I mean, the songs stand on their own for sure, but I think culturally, it was just so important for its time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because Oasis came along, and they were. I mean, they weren't the second coming of the Beatles, but they were big fans and stuff. And when I heard Oasis, I was like, you know, what's the story, Morning Glory? I was like, I can get into this, because it reminds me of what the Beatles did in a lot of ways as far as songwriting goes. But I think you have a point, though. It's like, it's also, I feel like the music industry is also how things are fed to you, you know?
Yeah.
For instance, Bravado Cartel could say, that you guys could say, hey, Constellation Blues, that's the single. And people would say, oh, okay, I didn't realize that that's the single. Because you said it was the single, I'm going to listen to that more often and say, you know what? They're right. That was the single.
Yeah.
That's the way like I look at things. Like the Rolling Stones released the song Start Me Up in 1980. One of my least favorite Rolling Stone songs of all time. It was a B-side for years. And they said, let's make it an A-side. And they fed it to me, and I still denied it. Whereas some of the people go, oh, Start Me Up, that's a great song. Is it a great song, or is it great because they told you that it's great?
Yeah.
Tough to say.
You know?
Yeah, I guess that's the ethos with any business though, and anything that they're trying to feed you, isn't it? That's the whole.
Or even like I use this analogy, but the Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci. I mean, if somebody showed you that painting and said some no-name guy did this, would you think it was good art, or would you just be like,
Well,
I don't think it's a great painting, but I think because it's da Vinci, it's great, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the thing about art and music. Context is extremely important because, like you just said, if someone just found that today, the Mona Lisa, and it was online, and it's like, hey, I'm a local artist, whatever, and it's like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. And maybe it would take off, but historical context in what the painting represented and is definitely important in valuing its significance for sure. But if we're talking about just pure, is this a cool piece of art? Does this resonate with you? Who knows if that would, I don't know. Maybe it would take off, maybe it wouldn't. But
exactly. And music obviously frames the generation that it's in as well. You know, a piece of music can sort of add to the time. I mean, look at all the great stuff that came out of Vietnam musically, and you instantly think of Vietnam when you hear it. Any of the Creedence stuff. I had an album actually, Nam Tunes. It was a bloody brilliant album. Yeah, so it frames times and stuff like that. But
Buffalo Springfield had a great Vietnam song. What's that one? There's something happening here. That one. Holy shit.
Stop now. What's that sound? Everybody knows what's going down.
But to be fair, like that song's also in a lot of movies too. And I think when your song is
marketing helps.
When your song is featured in a movie or a commercial, like Grizzly Bear, that song was it 2 weeks was in a Volkswagen commercial or something. Or
that's the first time I've ever heard it. Yeah, and I got into the band because of that.
First time I probably ever heard Grizzly Bear 2 was on a freaking Volkswagen commercial, and so I think success is a formula of ever rotating formula that involves luck, perception, context, and I don't know. And obviously it's quality. The songs have to be good, and that's a given, obviously.
Yeah, well, the thing is too is it's for me, the industry has become these marketing people saying, can I make a buck off these guys? Can I sell these guys and make a lot of money? And I think of that. I think about our band, and I'm like, I'm the front guy. I don't look like Brad Pitt. Maybe I'm not marketable. And in the end, it's about, did I make good music? Do I feel like it's good music? And that should be the end all be all, really.
Yeah, this is absolutely pinnacle to my beef with the music industry as a whole. You've just exactly summed up how I feel about it. And when I sometimes lie in bed on a Sunday and Top of the Pops 2 comes on, and there's all these guys, because I mean, I have a similar feeling about age as you do about maybe your appearance or whatever. And I think, God, I'm nearly 40-year-old. Have I? Especially in the UK, it's such an ageist country. Ageism in this country is rife. And I watch these guys on Top of the Pops too. Gary Puckett in the Union Gap, Young Girl.
I love that song.
All these guys in their 40s and their 50s writing these amazing tunes that we're still listening to on repeat now, still on the radio, day after day after day after day after day, of all these guys. And as you watch, we've something in this country called Top of the Pops, which is a music show from when we just had a chart, but it went on for years and years. But as you watch Top of the Pops in the 50s, the guys are all old. You watch it in the 60s, they're a little bit younger. You watch it in the 70s, they're younger still. And you guess what I'm going to say. So we get to this point now today when everybody on the program's 17 and all the music is shit. All the guys in their 40s and the 50s were writing these amazing songs that we're still listening to, that are still on repeat. And I just think, God, when is somebody going to let all these fantastic musicians who are older back in to have a slice of the pie? It absolutely infuriates me.
Right, absolutely. And actually, it's funny you mentioned that song Young Girl by Gary Puckett and the Union Gap. Those lyrics are really fucked up. Excuse my language. My wife and I always have a discussion. If it came out nowadays, you better believe no one's hearing that song.
You're going to prison if that comes out nowadays.
Steve, when you get a chance, listen to Young Girl by Gary Puckett. I mean, it's not
such a good tune.
Even some of the old Beatles songs were very risque with that kind of subject matter.
Oh, you better run for your life. If I catch you with another man, that's the end, little girl.
Oh, that song's like,
what is he gonna kill her? Like,
Right. No, and then that other song, I think it was a Paul tune. He's like, she was only 17 or whatever.
You know what I mean.
You know what I mean? It's like, and there was Jerry Seinfeld was doing some thing at the White House. He's like, you know what I mean? Jerry's like, no, Paul, I'm afraid I don't know what you mean. So it's like, it's weird.
It kind of struck me today. I had the radio on today and I was listening, and I just thought there's a large number of musical tracks that we listen to. I mean, you just put the radio on tomorrow and there's just a treadmill of all these tracks. I don't know, let's make a number up. There's maybe 10,000 of them that just go round and round on all the radio stations, and nothing new ever gets added. Nobody new ever comes in. You know, you might hear a bit of Dire Straits coming on, Money for Nothing, and it's a right belting tune. And when I hear stuff like that now, I just think, for God's sake, somebody let bands have musical hits again and be in the public eye, because there's been nothing for 30 years. Nothing. Maybe 20 years, and maybe I'm being a bit angry there, but you know, I mean, I just think, God, they fire these generic bloody bands out. What they call, like, One Direction and Pussycat Dolls, and
well, it's all a marketing scheme as far as I'm concerned, because they look good. They look good. As soon as you view them, you're like, well, they look good to me. And then they try to, like, you know, honestly, I don't understand Taylor Swift. I don't get the music. I will never understand it. When I hear the songs, I heard one of her songs in the bank, and I said, what the hell was that? How is this art? You know, and it's me. I'm a stingy person when it comes to music. But, you know, if I heard Kill the Messenger on a car commercial, you know, it's still a good song to me. But if it's on there, people are going to be like, that is a great song. Holy shit. It's just all about marketing, and that pisses me off.
Yeah.
Songs just can't stand on their own anymore. Sometimes I even get angry with music videos, because they try to tell you something that they're trying to tell you what the song's about. Sometimes I just like listening to music on its own so I can decipher for myself what it really is. I'm very angry.
William, have you yeah, right.
Me too.
Bullshit. Exactly, yeah. William, have you heard of Porcupine Tree?
Porcupine Tree? I want to say yeah, but then again, at the same time, I want to say no, but I think I have.
I'm surprised. Steven Wilson, he's the lead guitar player, singer, songwriter. He's from England. He's from your neck of the, you definitely, yeah, from your neck of the woods. There's a lyric, and he has an album called In Absentia, and one of the lyrics is the songs that make you want to rage were written by millionaires twice your age, and it talks about the fallacy, if that's the right word, of the music industry, of all that. And you would really like it. I would definitely recommend that album, In Absentia. Very good stuff.
Well, check it out, the Porcupine Tree. Yeah, because I'm always looking for new stuff to bang on in the van when I'm driving about.
Yeah, I'm surprised. He's from England, man. And he comes over here once in a while to do a tour. But yeah, he's from England. Yeah,
wow, Porcupine Tree. Right, I won't forget.
Yeah, I'll send you a thing in the group chat so you can check it out.
I have some very, very annoying questions for you that I ask everybody. Okay. But they're kind of tough. And I know like me, you'll probably change your mind tomorrow with what you have for an answer. But my first question, I only ask certain people because I have a funny feeling they might be able to answer this, and I think you might be able to. I'm not sure, but at this very moment in time, who would you say are your top 3 favorite artists of all time?
Well, straight off the cuff, I'm going to say Freddie Mercury, because I absolutely love that guy, and I always have. And I'm slightly annoyed that he's got, I know they were big, but they're really mainstream now with this film that's come out, and I don't like the fact that other people are listening to it, which annoys me a bit. But I have to say Freddie. I mean, whoops, sorry, did you lose me there?
Oh, you good?
Somebody tried ringing me. Yeah, so Freddie Mercury straight off the top of my head. Not necessarily the music, although I love the music of Queen. It's just him as a persona. Gosh, and then you want another 2 of my all-time favorite. Again, not my favorite music ever, but I think the greatest ever rock band are Led Zeppelin. And I hate to give a really sort of generic answer there, because in fact I've given 2, haven't I? Just sort of like mainstream guys, but
Good choices so far.
By the way, Steve, I don't know if you remember Juliana, who was on there. She also said Queen #1, Zeppelin #2.
Yeah,
so number 3.
yeah. You're the second person to choose Freddie Mercury as a number 1.
And I'm gonna throw a massive curveball in here, and you guys are gonna think, what? Now I'm a big Smiths fan.
Ooh, I like the Smiths a lot.
But I'm an even bigger Morrissey fan. Morrissey is my absolute hero, and he is like Marmite. 99% of people don't like him. So yeah, there's your 3. Morrissey. Check him out.
That's great. My wife is huge into the Smiths. She kind of got me into them a little bit more. We actually tried to cover one of their songs once, and I think it was "There Is a Light That Never Goes Out." That's one of their biggest songs, and I couldn't believe how frequent the chord changes were. I was playing a chord every 3 seconds while I was singing it, and I was like, "This sucks."
It's difficult.
I love in the '80s they were known as one of their genres was jangle pop. And that was pretty cool.
Jangle pop.
The guitarist Johnny Marr is kind of a cult hero in this country. I don't know if you're familiar with Johnny Marr.
Johnny Marr, yeah. He actually came to the House of Blues in Boston, I think, a couple of years ago or something. Yeah, I remember reading about it.
Yeah. Well, the irony of that band, the Smiths, obviously, is his happy, jingly, jangly guitars, and Morrissey's just melancholy. Most people say, "Oh, it's miserable," but I mean, for me, Morrissey is the greatest living poet alive at the minute. I absolutely love the guy.
Yeah, great lyrics. All right, I have another question for you. This can either be just you or your band, depending on how you look at it. But if you could open for any band in the history of music, opener is Bravado Cartel, or it's you, and then you're opening for this band.
Ooh, this is an answer that would change depending on what sort of a mood I'm in. But having watched AC/DC playing Thunder at that famous YouTube clip where they just come out playing Thunder, I think I'd like to open for that at that gig.
Yeah.
And my drummer will be well happy with that answer as well, because if I'd said Morrissey a second time, his head would have fallen off.
So I feel like sometimes I can spot a band sound from another band or another song. And AC/DC is one of them. There's a song by the band Free, 1970, a song called All Right Now.
Yeah.
That riff right there, when I was younger, I was like, oh, must be early AC/DC. But that riff reminds me of every other AC/DC riff. So I'm wondering if they were influenced by that at all.
I'm a massive, massive fan of the Bad Company album, Bad Company. In fact, if it wasn't for Morrissey and I had to take an album onto a desert island, it'd probably be that Bad Company album. It's amazing. That. Do you know the one I'm on about?
Was it one of their first ones?
It's just called Bad Company, and it's got that Ready for Love on. Walking down this rocky road, wondering where my life will take me all the way. Oh, just play that song over and over again in the van, and it's just honey in your ears, if you know what I mean.
Is there the other song on there? I can't get enough of your love.
Yeah,
that one.
That's the first.
I love
track.
that guitar riff in the middle. It's like bow, down, down, down. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh man, great stuff.
So good.
I have one more question that's annoying. This is going to be probably more difficult, and it doesn't have to be musicians. It just can be anyone you could think of. But we love this question because we always get crazy answers. But if you could have dinner with any 3 people in history, living or dead, what's that dinner looking like? And it's paid for, so don't worry about that.
Oh my God, this is something I've actually given quite a lot of thought to, and now you've put me on the spot. It's gone out of my head. Hang on, I've gone dark again. Oh.
Keep in mind, we've heard answers from Napoleon to Aleister Crowley. So I mean,
yeah,
right. Well, I'm gonna try and be a little bit different rather than giving the answers that come straight to mind. So Who's the guy out of Curb Your Enthusiasm? I want that guy at my dinner table.
Oh, Larry David.
Larry David.
Oh, that guy.
You like Curb?
That is one of the funniest things that nobody's ever heard about I've ever seen in my life.
That's really one of the best.
Is that not really known in England?
No, it's not. It's not. People don't get it as either. It's just not. It's not kind of a British comedy thing. But when he asks Michael J. Fox if it's his Parkinson's or if he's banging on the floor.
Oh my God! He's like, was that a Parkinson's shake or a Larry shake? He's like, it wasn't a Parkinson's shake. It was a Larry shake.
So I'm definitely gonna have him. How many do I choose? 3.
Yep, 3.
Yeah, Larry David. God, it's a bit of a tricky one. That would I get? People going to look down on me if I say Donald Trump?
Now I'll ask you why.
just for entertainment.
You might have good banter.
Value.
Good banter.
I just think that he is the most, and I'm not laughing at what's happened to your country under him by any means, but I just think
I am. I'm laughing.
It is the most ridiculous. And I almost want to say, with Donald Trump, could I also have Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Absolutely, 100%.
Larry David, Donald Trump, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. That might be the best dinner of all time.
That is fantastic.
Oh my God.
I like that. We're thinking about.
I think there might be a bit of a fight. I think there might be a bit of a fight though if you get Arnie and Donald Trump at a table together.
I was thinking so too. You know, Trump starts riffing, and then and Arnold is like, I don't know. I'm not even gonna do an Arnold impression. It would be terrible.
No. Get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper.
Why can everybody do an Arnold impression?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So putting me on the spot. There's me 3.
Fantastic. That was really good.
Actually, my wife just brought this over for me so I could put it up because we do have this. It's a compilation vinyl of the Smiths.
Full of hollow.
Yep. It's not one of the studio albums, but I think it's a compilation, which I don't know why she got it because I would never buy a compilation record. I just wouldn't. Because I'm a stickler like that.
Compilation record. What was she thinking?
I'm going to put this record up on the screen, and I just want to see what your reaction is to this record because it's one of my favorites of all time. If you recognize it.
I don't recognize it.
Okay, it's in the Court of the Crimson King by King Crimson.
No, I don't know it.
Oh wow!
Really? Okay. Check that out. That is some wild. That's when Prague. Like, they literally started Prague with that album.
Send me that because I'll totally forget it.
Do you know Primus at all, William?
I know Primus because he was on the dodgy South Park albums I had as a kid.
Yeah.
Was it? Let me try and think of the song. Was it something? Was he on the Bullet in a Bubble Goose song?
Oh man, I don't know. You tested my South Park hit knowledge here. I know they made obviously the intro song that was them, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm sure they were involved for sure. But I was gonna say the Primus. I'm pretty sure they were influenced by King Crimson. Because if you listen to King Crimson, you're like, that sounds like Primus.
Yeah.
Like, a lot, you know. But definitely worth a listen. That's such a good album.
How did I not know until today that Primus did the South Park theme song?
Oh my God, you're way behind.
I feel kind of embarrassed. I never put those two things together.
The vocals didn't give it away. Come on down.
Now it does. Now I'm thinking about it, but I never was like, oh, that's Les Claypool. I never thought of that. Okay.
I can't understand why the South Park albums aren't on the streaming sites.
Oh, I don't know. But you know, this is hold on. Let me 1 second. 1 second. Hold on. So that's why I like vinyl, and this is one of those reasons. Give me 1 second. 1 second.
Hurry up, Steve.
Play the elevator.
You don't have all day. Ooh. I got a lot of good records here, but I'm not gonna put all records up and just show you all the records that I have because what's that gonna do?
Make me insanely jealous.
No, I mean I don't even listen to them. I just collect them.
I've got a vinyl right next to me. This will make you laugh.
South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut. Oh, I get it. No, I'm just kidding. I knew. There it is.
Oh, okay.
Is that a compilation or?
It is a compilation, but it was a gift, so don't judge me.
No, I wasn't judging you. I was just trying to figure out because we have compilations here too. That's awesome, though. You know what's funny? I want to tell you the first Morrissey song I've ever heard. It was a solo song, and I don't even remember where. First of the Gang to Die.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Love that song.
Hector was the first of the gang to die.
Hector,
well,
yeah.
There's a Morrissey album, and it's called World Peace Is None of Your Business, and it's only from about 2015. But as soon as it was released, within 3 weeks, he fell out with the label, and they pulled it. So it's not on any of the streaming sites. You can no longer buy it at record stores. And I was lucky enough to get it on vinyl. So I've got this record that was only released for about 3 or 4 weeks on vinyl, and it is like the holy grail.
Wow.
I tell you, the band that he uses on this album, they're all Hispanic. I think that's the correct word. I don't want to offend anybody, but they're all of Mexican origin. And my God, let me tell you, the music on there, it nearly makes me cry. It's so good. It's absolutely amazing. On there is called "Kick the Bride Down the Aisle."
Oh boy!
It's just kick the bride down the aisle and treasure the day.
That's amazing.
So
I'll check that out. But yeah, man, thanks so much for talking with us. I feel like we could keep you all night and just talk about whatever. But thanks for coming on here and chatting with us. I love talking about just music and shooting the shit. So
yeah,
thanks for sparing some time for us. We really appreciate it.
I'd love to come back on again, guys, because I feel like I could just go on talking about music forever and ever.
Yeah, we're gonna do part 2s and stuff like that. We'd love to. Or even we were thinking about doing. Steve and I are like just gigantic Beatle fans, so we're thinking about doing just an episode of that, and then doing a records one, just favorite people's records, just records all
exactly.
day.
Yeah,
but yeah, we'd love for you to come back.
Can I give you one more point before I go? So just talking about just quickly how the record industry is absolutely knackered. I got quite angry about it at one point, and about how Simon Cowell was the instigator of all the breaking of the music industry. You know Simon Cowell is, right?
Oh yeah, of course. Yep.
So if you go onto the YouTube and just type in Red Star, God, I'm doing an advert here and I can't even think of the bloody name of my own track. Red Star. Nope, it's gone out of my brain. You can cut this bit out. Why has my brain gone blank? Totally blank. Basically, Red Star Burn Simon Cowell. So basically, I did a video where I set Simon Cowell on fire. So check it out.
Where can we find that? Is that on the
YouTube?
On YouTube, yeah. Red Star Burn Simon Cowell, and it's basically me setting Simon Cowell on fire, and it's pretty cool. And the track's pretty cool as well. Actually, it's not really a verse chorus kind of a track. It's more of a piece of music. So yeah, check it out. Anyway,
I'll check it.
Excellent. Sure. Yeah, definitely.
That's gonna be crazy.
I'm excited to watch it.
But
awesome.
yeah, man, thanks for coming on. This was a lot of fun. Like Derek was saying, we're gonna be doing part 2s maybe in the next month or so. Come back on. We'll do vinyl. We'll do we'll do Beatles, whatever you want, and then we'll do it again.
Lovely. I'd love to, and I'll bring Stephen Patrick Morrissey with me as well.
Yeah, bring him.
And if we come to England, we hope that we can get together and have fun.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. No, you need to come out here, and
we're gonna do it. One of these days.
Yeah,
we've been wanting to do that for a while now, so I think it'd be such a cool trip. We'll hit
let me tell you, do not underestimate our friendship now. You are more than welcome here, and we will do everything in our power to make you have a great trip.
Thank you, man. That means a lot.
Appreciate that. Thanks so much.
Yeah, man. So let's do it, man.
Lovely. Friends for life, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Right. I'll talk to you. Thank you.
See you, dude.
conspiracy. It's the only crutch that you have on me. The hog in the house with all his rats. Bite our thumbs and never tip our hats. Give me your